Start out with the Beretta 92. The only thing on this one is it's a little difficult to see the sights.
Weapon here. Fire, hold on, shoot.
Then we'll move along to the Beretta 96. That's got nice bright 3-dot sights. With the exception of the one I pulled because I got on the trigger too soon, this one's easier to pull tight groups with because you can see the sights real well. Recoil is a little stouter, a little flippier. The recoil on this one is almost non-existent. You just feel the slide cycle.
Hello everybody, this is Hammer Striker here. I've got a couple of guns on the table that we've done separate reviews on, and I'll see different people comment, trying to decide between one or the other. What I've got is a Beretta 92 and a Beretta 96. Now it turns out that the 92, which is this one here, is the FS Inox, and the 96 is an A1. The 92 comes in several different variants, the A1, the FS. The 96 comes in this version, just comes in the A1. And this is very similar to the M9 series, it's just really just feature differences. So I'm going to point out a few differences, and actually more similarities than differences, that might help somebody that's trying to decide which of the two they want, and if you're looking at the 92, which variant of the 92. So the first thing I'll do is I'll pick them up, make sure that they're unloaded, and go from there. So we got an unloaded 96, and we've got an unloaded 92. So from how are they the same standpoint? They're the same in quite a few ways. They're dimensionally the same. They're 8.5 inches long, 5.4 inches tall, 1.5 inches wide. Now that's when you consider the ears. On the grip of the stock grips, the grips are actually a little bit thinner, so it's maybe about 1.3 inches wide on the grips. This one, if the grips hadn't been replaced, would be similar to that. We did replace the grips on this one with these wood grips. They just really look nice on this gun. There was nothing wrong with the stock grips, but they were black and they were plain, and this really kind of just made it look nicer. But functionally, it didn't change any of the function of it. Both of them are DASA guns. Both of them are hammer fired, and both of them come with a safety decocker. Both of these can be modified with in fact, I've got the kit to do one, I haven't done it yet, to a decocker only. And what the difference will be when you make that mod is you would push down on this to decock. When you let go, it sprung back up on its own. You'd remove the detent. So it's basically just a decocker and not a safety. They're really smooth double action mode. Of course they're long, because that's typical of double action. A little bit of stacking on the end, but it's super, super smooth. No grit, and it's reasonably, the trigger pull is reasonable. Now when you've got them in single action mode, it's a little bit of take up before you hit the wall, but it's real light and smooth take up, and then a real short, crisp break. And then if they cycle them, I remember to take the magazine out, you've got a kind of a longish reset, and then some take up back to the wall. But overall, it's an exceptionally nice trigger. And when you're shooting it at the range, either one of these, once you're going with it, it's real easy to get back on target. One of the primary differences between these, of course, is obviously the caliber. The 96 is 40 Smith & Wesson, and the 92 is 9mm, so 9mm and 40. Both of them weigh 33.3 ounces unloaded, so they weigh the same. More of the different side of it is less about the difference between the two guns as it is the two versions, the FS versus the A1. So we'll start with the 96 A1. You'll see it's got some cutouts up here, kind of relief notches. It's got a Picatinny rail. It has dovetail front and rear sights, so they're replaceable. Now this particular one has white 3-dot sights. Real easy to see, real bright sights. I found it very easy to keep this on target. as opposed to, I'll show you the sights on the 92, which it's a fixed blade at the front with a dot in it, and then it's a dovetail rear, and it happens to be 3-dot red. And they look fine here, you know, with nice lighting and against a solid backdrop. But when you get them on the range, I found these real difficult to see. So I had a hard time pulling tight groups with the 92, not because the gun is inherently inaccurate, but because I had a hard time seeing the sights. Both of these guns are noted to be inherently accurate from the beginning. And of course all pistols are reasonably accurate. They're usually more accurate than the hand they're in. But a few of the things of the architecture of either one of these, one of the things you'll notice is the barrel doesn't move. So you don't have a lockup mechanism. You don't have, well, you do have a lockup mechanism. You don't have a tilting mechanism. So the barrel alignment stays fixed throughout the cycle. And that does help with repeatability, having the barrel land in exactly the same spot every time, because it stays in the exact spot every time. What we found from a recoil perspective, there's 33.3 ounce guns. They're heavy guns. It's an alloy frame, stainless steel slide, so they absorb recoil very, very well. But the 40, because they're identical, you could feel the recoil more in the 40. It flipped and twisted a little bit more. So you had just a slightly slower return to target. And there's a component that's in here, and I'll pop it apart and I'll show it to you. There's a little recoil buffer to keep the 40 caliber round from beating up the frame of the gun. Before I pop this one apart and show you the internals a little bit, the biggest difference otherwise is capacity. The 96 comes with a 15 round magazine. I'm sorry, it comes with a 12 round magazine. And the 92 comes with a 15 round magazine if it's the FS, and the A1 comes with a 17 round magazine. So you get a little bit more capacity in the 92 than you do in the 96, and that makes sense, it's a bigger round. Overall, both of them function flawlessly. One of the things you'll find is this open barrel. You know, there's a concern that some people have that's going to let debris in there, but at the same time it lets debris out. If something does get in there, it's going to fall out next time you cycle it. When the gun cycles and it's all the way back, it's wide open back here. There's no ejection port, there's air. It's almost impossible to stovepipe one of these things. And I've got a snap cap in this magazine. If I load this snap cap, you'll see that the round points almost directly at the chamber. There is a little bit of a feed ramp, but as I release it and let the round go in, there's very little tilt. It's almost just straight in. So functionally, these guns tend to be very, very reliable with pretty much any ammo you feed them. And we haven't had any function issues with either one of these. So I'm going to go ahead and pop apart. I'll pop apart the 96. Internally, they're both the same. And I'll show you the little mechanisms in here that make them unique from other guns. There's that buffer, and that's only present in the 96 for the 40 caliber. It's kind of a polymer buffer, and it slams, the slide as it cycles slams into that instead of slamming into the frame to prevent the 40 from tearing up the polymer, or I'm sorry, the alloy frame. And the barrel, if you look at it, you'll see these little wings. You'll see them here. See if I can get a little pick and get in there. You'll see them right along here. There's a wing there, and there's another one on the other side. And if I flip this over, you can more clearly see them right here, and then on the other side. Those are the locking mechanisms. And if I take the recoil spring out, the barrel stays locked up. It doesn't go anywhere. If I push in on this little release, I can slide the barrel out. And it's a different mechanism, a little flipper here, than you're used to seeing in like a Glock or a Walther or any of the other ones. That gives this barrel the ability to stay fixed, yet still lock and unlock the slide so that it can recoil normally. Interesting mechanism, and it's just completely reliable. It just works. So it gives you a really good reliable gun. And the barrel is 4.9 inches in either one of them. You know, these are more of a full-size gun territory than they are any kind of a compact gun. You know, they're service weapon size. So I'm going to slide this back together. So overall, either one of these is going to work flawlessly. If you like 40 caliber, this handles recoil of 40 as well as actually better than most guns I've had. The weight of it, the size of it, the lightened frame or lightened slide, it actually really handles it quite well. it's a little flippier. If you want a gun that really almost has no recoil, it's amazing how little felt recoil there is in the 9mm. You could look at the 92, and then you just get into the difference of, do you want the smooth, streamlined, more 1911-ish look of the FS, or do you want the more tactical look of the A1? The only other thing on this one is I really wish I could replace that front sight. So I may end up having to try to do a dot or something like that. The only problem is I can't put a white dot on it because this is the stainless version, the Inox. So that's the only thing I'd like to see nicer or easier, clearer to see would be the sights. But beyond that, they're really nice to look at. They're really reliable, really easy to shoot well, and they've served a number of militaries and police forces quite well in one flavor or the other. So you really can't go wrong with choosing either one of them. And of course, if you're like to modify your guns, if you're into playing around, there's a lot of aftermarket support for these. There's something called the D-spring, which we put in this one, and what that does is it lightens up the double action pull. It makes it a little bit smoother, and it actually makes a noticeable difference between the two, just the feel of it. There are threaded barrels available for the 9mm variant, and of course you can get into the M9 series, and the M9A3 comes with the threaded barrel and Desert Tan. So there's a lot of variations of these, different grips, all sorts of different things you can do to either get one variant that comes from the factory the way you like it, or modify it through a wide variety of aftermarket support. So we wrap it up and say it doesn't matter which one you get. Dimensionally they're all the same. Functionally they're the same. It's just features and recoil is going to make the difference. If you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up. Check us out on Facebook. Share. And have a great day.
Start out with the Beretta 92. Then move along to the Beretta 96. Much lighter recoil with the 92. The recoil's stout on the 97, manageable. Sights are easier to see.